Coach Silas handled that as well as you could. John Wall, the new guy in town. And this team, if you haven't been paying attention, they've won 5 straight. And on Monday night in OKC, what they did was historic. John Wall, couple of threes early. Christian Wood, Victor Oladipo, corner 3. Oladipo, corner 3. Anytime, Steve, we start putting numbers down on the ground, you can be sure we're going to count for a while.
Did they miss any?
I know they made 11 in a quarter. Christian Wood got one. Eric Gordon's going to get involved. Wood, all-star.
Yes.
By the time the quarter's done, they've set an NBA record with 11 threes in a quarter. That's tying an NBA record, I should say, for the most threes made in a quarter with 11. On the way to making a franchise record 28 threes in the game. The record is 29. They did miss 3, Steve, so to be fair, they didn't make them all. It just seems that way.
That's how you start a game, though.
They had 48 points in a dozen minutes. And the Rockets go on to a 30-point win, 6 in a row for Houston. The Lakers wrapping up a 7-game roadie, 4-2 on it. They're visiting Atlanta. And the Hawks trail by as many as 9 in the third, but Trae Young here facilitating behind the back to Kevin Huerter.
I like turtles.
Trae just starts walking. He knows what it is. It's red velvet, Steve.
Sure is.
He's a shooter. Hawks down 3. Danilo Gallinari ties it up at 66. Then Young, John Collins, 22 points in the game. Hawks had a lead heading into the 4th. In the 4th, LeBron James. James step back. Hits the 3. LeBron, I don't know what he accomplished there. A little sorcery. Kyle Kuzma, corner 3, leads now 8. Look out.
There he is. AC Fresh 21.
He got some bounce.
Sure does.
Alex Caruso, part of an 11-0 run, and it's a 10-point lead. All right, Hawks trying to inbound, and what do we have here? Oh, we got some folks in the front row getting a little extra. LeBron's talking, and we know who you are. We've seen the Snapchats. Watch your mouth. Dude, kicked out. Anyway, back to the game. Down low. Clint Capella. 16 assists for Young. Then Young, the deep 3. He had 25. But LeBron James hits another 3. Lakers lead by 4. Atlanta trying to stick around. Defense turns to offense. Woo! Outlet. James gets the bucket there. Finished with 21, 9, and 7. Afterwards, James on that little dust up there with the courtside folks.
I'm happy fans are back in the building. I miss that interaction. I need that interaction. We as players need that interaction. I don't feel like it was warranted to be kicked out. There was a back and forth between 2 grown men, and then when someone else jumped into it and said their piece, and it kind of got blown out of proportion. It's just like sometimes on the floor when 2 guys get into a scuffle, or get into a little like jostling, and the refs come and try to break it up really fast, and it looks like it's bigger than what it really is. That's what it pretty much was tonight. But the difference, we're on the court and we're not having any alcoholic beverages. So they might have had some alcoholic beverages on the side. So that it made them feel a little tougher than what they really are, I would say.
But to be clear, you were happy. You were happy that this happened, though, right? Like you enjoyed this.
Who, me?
Yes.
I love our fans. Laker Nation and everybody else that's against Laker Nation. It just feels better. Fans in the stands it's just better. It's better for everybody, especially on the last game of a 14-day road trip.
So there you go. Didn't want anybody kicked out. Hawks pulled to within 1 in the final 90 seconds, and then James finished things off, scoring nearly as many points in the final buck and a half of the game as he did in the first 46 and a half.
Good work, Mike. And yes, we all miss Rajon Rondo. Rob, let's specific things.
I thought that they played really good defensively. They kind of shut down the paint, even though Capella got some points in there. Like James said earlier, the last game is always the hardest game. And you're thinking about getting home, seeing your kids, your wife, your girlfriend, fiance, what it is. You're sleeping in your own bed, and sometimes you can lose track of where you are. But these guys stay pat. They play good defense. They had a couple of lulls there where, they went on an 8-0 run, they went on a 10-0 run. But the thing is, they won the game. They hunkered down, and they played really good and got the dub.
Yeah, I remember Big Game James talking about going 5-2 before the trip. You told me, James, on air, you would sign up for that right away, and that's exactly what they did. You knew this would be a tough trip. You looked at the teams they were playing. That fourth quarter, James, was huge. You're seeing the highlights right now. 11-0 run to start the quarter, James. Then a little stagnant there. Hawks went on a big run, but the Lakers closed on a 9-0 run, and the two superstars, big down the stretch. LeBron scoring the last 9 points.
And championship teams can do that. They had a lead, and they thought Atlanta was going to go away. They started thinking about getting on the plane, going home. They kind of lost their mental capacity. Atlanta kept fighting back. But then championship teams, they know how to, get back in sync. And I think when you have guys like Schroeder, who took it personally with Trae Young tonight in the fourth quarter, Schroeder wasn't getting any calls. He got up in Trae Young defensively, and then Caruso all over the place. Extra possessions, anticipating the pass, that big dunk. That's what they do. They're very active. And then Trez, he's always bringing the energy. So they did what they had to do in the fourth quarter to close it out. And then the King, that's why he's called the King.
I think one of the things we haven't talked about is Coach Vogel doing a great move strategy and putting AC Fresh back in again in the game at the end of the game, because we needed some defensive presence. He got that big steal right there, and he just did a lot of things that go unnoticed. Getting hands on balls, doing things like that. And let's give the coaching staff a clap.
He drew that charge too. He did a lot of good things.
Yeah. So.
I'm glad you guys brought up Alex Caruso. I mean, we all know it. Laker fans know it. He's a fan favorite. But everyone who watches games religiously, like we all do, what a winner is, what he is, and you know what a big part of what the Lakers do is because guys like Alex Caruso play their roles. I mean, he started in a Game 6 of an NBA Finals. The Lakers started him. That is trust. That's trust from the staff, trust from the teammates, and there's a reason he's in that closing lineup, Big Game James. And then tonight he gives you offense as well, but just the smart heads-up plays, the tough plays, the running down and getting in front of Jaylen Brown just to slow up the Celtics a couple of nights ago. He's just been fantastic.
There's anticipate where things are going, read the plays, kind of know where things are going in the flow of the game. He's really smart, and he puts his body in places where the action is. And he usually ends up, with a deflection, a charge, or aggravating the offensive opponent. He's a nightmare, and I don't think opponents like to see him. He's just really disruptive, and he's always got his head and nose on the ball in the game, coming up with huge plays. I mean, that stepping in there and that steal he had, and then that extra possession. We've seen that on this road trip at least 2 or 3 times where he's tipped it out and got big possessions. Those are huge plays.
But I also want to point out, you kind of mentioned earlier, you always talk about a helpful assist. He saw where LeBron was complaining about a call he didn't get. He runs down and see the big not paying attention. He steps in front of him and draws that charge. Mm-hmm. That's huge because LeBron's not back. And they had the advantage. We know this team can score on the break, meaning the Hawks. So he took that charge, and he pretty much saved them 2 points right there.
And I appreciate you being a company man. You're talking about the helpful Honda assist of the game. That's coming later in the show. It's a very important part of the show to me and my friends. Yeah, man, listen, every game you look at is plus minus, and at the end of the game, James, it's always Alex Caruso at the top, plus 13, plus 14 tonight, leading the way. So